Well, God bless you richly. Welcome back to the Bishop's Corner. And of course, my name is Bishop Dr. Herbert N. Scott, the Chief Prelate of the Liberty Hall Cathedral of Praise right here in the heart of Brooklyn. And certainly it is indeed a pleasure to have you all on tonight. And one of the things that we must do, honestly, now is to shout out to the visionary of the Bishop's Corner, and that is Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, I just want you to know that you are doing a tremendous job, young man. Please keep up the good work. Well, tonight we have a very interesting program for you. But before we should go there, let me just welcome those that will be on with us tonight. We are so happy for this woman. Her name is Kelly Robe. Kelly, certainly it is indeed to have you on the Bishop's Corner. Kelly, are you there? Can we see you, please? Certainly, it is indeed a pleasure. And we just want to thank God also for another young lady that is with us. I do not see her name, but I believe that her name is Miss Campbell. Yes, Tina Campbell. She's with us, and we are so happy to have you with us tonight. Do we have that other lady? Is she coming on? Okay, and her name happens to be Izzy Barbara. Okay.
Tina Kadish.
Tina Kadish.
Oh, yes,
Tina.
Kadish. Miss Kadish, certainly it's a pleasure, young lady, to have you on the Bishop's Corner. It is indeed a pleasure. I am so happy tonight because I am surrounded by three beautiful young ladies. Thank you very, very much. And now this makes the job much, much easier. Before we should hand over to Dr. Phil, because he has a few words to say to us tonight, we are dealing with empowering women leaders, overcoming challenges, and driving success. It's been said in Proverbs chapter 31 and the 25th verse, she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. Oh yes, those words was from the man himself, Solomon. And if anyone knows about women and how tenacious they are, definitely Solomon does know. However, before we should begin tonight, at this time, let me just hand over to Philip Reed. Dr. Phil, he has some important words to tell us. Phil, it's in your hands, sir. Thank you much.
Thank you so much, Bishop. I really appreciate that. Welcome back, everybody. Wow, it's been a while. We have not been on since January because we have just been revamping the entire Bishop's Corner franchise, right? We have turned the Bishop's Corner into a corporation, which means it's its own entity now. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. We have a website up. It is called BCI/TV.com. That is BCITV.com. You can go visit and find out a little bit about what our vision is for the Bishop's Corner, which you're going to see on the second page. Right here, you see where we're broadcasting to. So we have Amazon Fire TV and Roku. Our own channel, the BCI channel, BCI TV channel, is on Roku now. So if you go to Phoenix National Network, and you can see the stream there, we have a lot of great programs, Christian-based programs that you can watch on there. Also, we're tying in with a few things from Liberty Hall. We're starting a session. It's not really a Bible school, but it's a session where it's a school of evangelism, school of pastoring, and a school of missions. And what this is about is a school of evangelism is having ways to reach new people and talk to them about the love of God. And also just ways to kind of reach different people at different times. Also, the School of Pastoring is going to be a mentorship platform. So for young pastors who are needing help with their ministries, the School of Pastoring is going to be a resource for them to tap into other pastors who have been in ministry for a while and just be able to be mentored into the ministry that they're in. And also School of Missions, how can we be more effective in our communities and help each community be the best that it could be? We also have a way for you to donate. If you want to donate to the platform or to the program, to what we're doing as a vision, you're able to do that through the website as well, which is bcitv.com. That's bcitv.com. If you have any questions, you can just click this button right here and reach out to us here. If you want to watch directly without going on Roku, you can just click here and it will take you to the streaming platform and you can watch some of the programs. It is absolutely 1000% free. Okay. So very excited about that. I'm glad you guys were able to bring us to this point and give some clarity to the vision. And I'm going to turn it back over to our great host, amazing host, Bishop Dr. Herbert N. Scott. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you very much, Dr. Phil. You really make us feel at home. Okay, journey to leadership. Journey to leadership. Question number 1. Can you share your personal journey as a woman leader in business, including how you tackled obstacles along the way? Now, there's this quote I want you to hear. The question isn't who's going to let me. The question really is, it's who's going to stop me. Because one of the things I know about women, when they make up their minds that they are going to do something, they get it done. And I'm going to ask, first of all, Kelly, please help me to understand and to know your personal journey into leadership, young lady.
Thank you, Bishop, and so excited to be here with these other fabulous Tinas. So I am in Florida, so you could see there, and my background really started in the military. So a lot of my journey was there. I went into the Air Force 3 months after graduating high school. And at that time, right, in the late 80s, still during Cold War, I served during Cold War, a little bit of Desert Shield, Desert Storm. There weren't as many women in some of the missions that I volunteered for. And so I think, again, that journey to leadership was just believing in myself. I'm the youngest of 5, and being the baby of the family, I was one that definitely was doted on. And, I grew up not traditional, right? Foster care, never knew my dad, but we had a lot of love and support. And I think that helped. And then after the military, I decided to do the journey in college and started my business in 1997, 26 years ago. And I think that one of the things that I learned that has, helped me be successful 26 years later, right? The consistency was, and something I'd love to leave everybody with, is work on yourself more than you work on your business. Because it's all about our confidence and how we feel and overcoming some of the self-doubt and the negative beliefs that we have coming wherever they came from, right? But the idea is not to be a victim. It's to just understand that, as you said, it's a journey. It's a journey. And so, and it's going to get easier and easier, but absolutely work on yourself more than you work on your business. And before you know it, your business is just going to explode and take off. I used to say, you're planting seeds and it takes a while, but you plant those seeds consistently. And one day you wake up with this beautiful forest and you say, oh my gosh, where did this come from? Right. But it's that consistency of planting the seeds.
Well, let me ask you another question, young lady. What really prompted you to launch out?
What prompted me? Well, I think, I had that internal drive, right? That I wanted freedom. I didn't want someone to control my day to
Mm,
day, to tell me, to punch a clock and have someone else tell me when I'm allowed to do things in my life. I think maybe the military, that restriction. And I realized that I had that, and it gave me discipline so that I could be that self-starter and say, you know what? I want to be able to control my destiny. And I didn't want a ceiling. I think more than anything, I wanted it to be up to me. I didn't want the glass
mm.
ceiling. I didn't want, hey, if I got to work harder and all of that, but I didn't want anybody to put a ceiling on me. I wanted to just be able to design my own and to co-create, right, with our creator. I always like to say that, we co-create with our God, with our universe. And there's great things we can manifest, but we have to believe in ourselves first. And I just knew that I wanted the freedom.
Okay.
Absolutely. Freedom was a major driver for me.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelly. Okay, let's go over to Tina Campbell, because we have two Tinas, Tina C and Tina K. Okay, let's speak to Tina C at this moment. Can you share your personal journey as a woman leader in business, including how you tackled obstacles along the way?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And by the way, Tina and I are good friends. So we're always Tina, the two Tinas. So anyway, love to see her here. And Kelly's a good friend too. So, I can't be amongst more honored to be with these ladies than I can say. Well, it's funny, like Kelly, her journey with going into the service, my foundation was my parents I am first generation American, and they came over with $5 in their pocket. They were the greatest generation, but they taught us to work hard. And that's always been my driving force, has been making my parents proud of me. So that was always there. So then when I went to college, and then after I went into HR, and I think Tina and I had similar experiences with that, right? So I had 25 years working in HR. I worked myself up to director of HR for a Japanese trading house in Manhattan. And I think how I did that is because I was what I call an entrepreneur. I took ownership of my department. I took ownership of, my role. And I wanted to make it better for the people that worked with me, when, I don't want to say under with me, right? So I wanted us all to succeed. And that was very, very clear. But I think what helped me is that I wanted to, have a good reputation, that people could trust me, especially in HR, the land of no, by the way. And, everything, I really wanted people to trust me, and that I was serving them. In HR, you straddle between the management and the employees. They're both your customers, they're both your clients. So you're really on both ends. And I really enjoyed it, but I was this entrepreneur. So it wasn't a big leap for me to want to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to do that, but set my own timetable and all that, and my own successes. So that's what I did. And honestly, the obstacles, there were quite a few, especially, working in the 80s for an international company that didn't always see, women as, the top leaders. So it was kind of forging that. And by the end, when I left, because my husband's job was changing, so I left, and I knew when I left, that they respected me, because of, I basically told them what I, thought we should do, and gave them the best, ideas. And then if they took them, great. If not, I just worked around it. So I became an entrepreneur, and I started Free Enterprise Warriors, which now we serve veterans who are starting businesses, who want to go into the journey of entrepreneurship. And I feel really strongly about serving and working with veterans, because I think the fact that I'm a woman, that I've gotten this far, is because my parents settled here in the United States.
Well, Tina, let me ask you a question. If you were to start all over again, are there anything that you would do differently?
You know, I say this a lot. I would have journaled and really written down my struggles, how I overcame them. I feel like sometimes going back, it's a blur. And it really bothers me because if I think about like when I first started, I would suggest to anybody in business, starting a business, write it down. What was it like? What did it feel like? So that you can go back and then you can say, okay, wow, I've really gotten from A to B to C. And sometimes you just can't remember A anymore, you know, and that's the one thing I regret that I didn't do more journaling or writing it down somehow, keeping that those words.
Oh, yeah. And I think that's important because remember that there are other young ladies that's going to come after you. And I'm sure that they would like to read and the things that you went through and how you overcame X, Y, and Z. Okay, let's put that same question to Tina K. Tina K, can you share your personal journey, Tina, as a woman leader in business, including how you tackled obstacles along the way?
All right. What a great question. Thank you so much again. And it's an honor to be here. So my background, growing up in an Italian immigrant family, I was the oldest of three girls. And I grew up always sheltered, always doing the right thing and just being a people pleaser. And I was very shy. I was an introvert. You would never know it today. However, I was. And I went after high school. I went to a business school. I didn't go to college because I wanted to be an attorney, actually. And I said, I don't want to go to school and spend all those years. So I went to school, secretarial school back then. But I got married at 19, and which was very young. And I stayed married for 20 years. And then I divorced him in 1998 after two children. And so along the way, though, I always, my background has been an administrative assistant. I just got tired of being at the top and not having any direction, no career. So I went to college when my kids were 6 and 1 years old, part-time on the weekends in New York, Tarrytown, New York. And thank God for a great support system that I had. It took me 6 years. And it was a goal that I set for myself because I saw more. And so I then later on, I got into training and development and advanced through in that company and got laid off. So then when I got laid off is when I really realized, like, I don't want to work for a company anymore. I want freedom. I actually, Kelly, wrote my first book about freedom because then I learned that I don't want to be told what to do anymore. I want to be in my own destiny, be in control. And so it was really something that today I'm so grateful that I'm an entrepreneur, that I'm not working for a company. And freedom to me is so important. And so I'm very grateful.
Tina, what type of business are you in?
So I'm a business coach. So I work with women that have left the corporate career or want to leave the corporate career and want to start a business. And so I help them to really connect to their passions, because that's what I learned. I learned about finding your passion is so important. I learned how to dream because I never believed in dreaming. I just went through surviving, and never really thinking about what do I really want. I never journaled. I never created vision boards. I just did. And until I got laid off is when I really said, wow, now what do I do? Where do I go? And at that time, I was divorced with 2 kids.
Wow, what a journey. Well, let me
Yes, and there's more.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there is. Let me ask you, Tina K. Now, if you were talking to young ladies like yourself and they have the mind like you to launch out, what are some of the things you would tell them to do and some of the things you would tell them not to do?
So what to do, I would definitely tell them to believe in themselves. Also, like what Kelly was saying, that believe that you can do it, having the mindset that you're valuable, it's possible, and having the faith in yourself that it is possible, that you can create what you want. It's about belief. It's having that faith that it can be done.
And it can be done.
Yes,
Okay.
it can.
And what not to do.
What not to do is to just give up, quit. Not to quit, That they're, even through the obstacles, focus on the solution. And that's what I still do today. When things don't go right, there's always going to be the valleys and the ups and the downs. And life is a roller coaster.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Okay, Kelly, let me put this question to you. Ever felt like giving up? I'm sure you did. Okay, but what was it that really spurred you to go on?
I love that. It's the network that you surround yourself with, right? It's constantly reading, like I said, working on ourselves. But I think what it was, Bishop, is I thought about the alternative. So even though the days were difficult and being an entrepreneur, maybe that one deal didn't work out or that one appointment got canceled, and you think, okay, this just isn't working. Thinking, okay, I would just honestly look at myself and say, what's the alternative? Okay, so I'm going to go write a resume and I'm going to sit in front of somebody and they're going to tell me what I'm worth and what I can do. And I said, okay, that's it. I'd wake up the next day and hire myself back, right? And say, it's okay. I just have to, learn something more. Maybe you're not doing something enough. Maybe you're not doing it good enough. Maybe I need to, just enhance my skills. And the biggest thing, though, is surrounding yourself by like-minded people. When, it matters who we hang around. So when you have that support network that, sometimes believes in us more than we believe in ourselves. And so, like the Tinas, right? Like if, I was going through that, but obviously I met them later, but, earlier in my career, having like the Tinas around where I could say, oh my gosh, this didn't happen or that didn't happen. And it's like, hey, remember the successes. Speaking about journaling, oh my gosh, Tina, you're so right. Like I think about even little things with my son and things we wish. But one of the tools that I do remember that really helps is having that success journal so that we can go back. Maybe that appointment didn't work, but go back in our mind to when it did. When you close that big account or when you had that amazing, day and conversation. And success journals are really powerful because sometimes when we're in the middle of something negative, it's hard to remember, the success that we had. But that's helped me. That helped me a lot, Bishop. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, now let me go into your business a little deeper.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, Kelly, where do you see yourself 10 years from now and the business?
Okay, so my business is kind of twofold, right? So my company is called Purple Camo Solutions. As you see, I love purple and from the military, so Purple Camo. And it's kind of two parts. I do have a coaching program for veterans as well. I kind of say, as you said, Tina, about our passion, and so my tagline there is your purpose and passion after the military, because that's a big struggle, that transitioning. It's called the transitioning warrior, because when we're getting out of the military, and here I was in Berlin when the wall came down and did some amazing things, and you just are in fear that you're never going to find a mission and a purpose like what we had in the military. So I really want to help veterans do that. And the reason I can do that is because I can be the example. I'm not theorizing about it. I can talk about my journey because for 26 years, I've had my own agency with Legal Shield, which is a company that provides legal and identity theft protection. I do that as an employee benefit. In fact, just today, I did an amazing lunch and learn for the beautiful Museum of Art by us for their employees. And I still just love doing that. And to me, it's an extension of what I did in the military because I'm empowering people with something that they, a service that they never had before. And so in 10 years, I want to be, I am a new author too. So Kim, as you said that, I was able to co-author 2 books. They're anthologies. This year, I'm writing my own book. And so I know that I love coaching, but I also just love more of the training and speaking. And one of the things I'd love to do is combine my two companies, you know, with the Transitioning Warrior and working with HR like Tina was. Companies just really need to understand more about veterans and the value that they bring to the organization. And there's a lot of misunderstandings there. So I think one of my big goals that really has been on my heart is to create some kind of, training where I can go into these companies and talk to HR and talk to those C-level executives, and from someone that comes from that background of a military person is just really help them understand, educate them on why they should have more veterans in their organization and what the values are there. So I hope I can grow both of my businesses and then merge them in that way.
Okay, well said, young lady. Okay, Tina C, same question. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now and the business?
I'm going to be hanging out with Kelly and Tina, I'm sure, because we have so much in common. And that's really, Kelly and I just met each other. Oh my goodness, it was only probably like 8 months. No, it's the summertime, I guess. But you know what? It's amazing because I feel like, when you get around like-minded people, you feel like you've known each other forever. And again, that's kind of like what you were asking the question before. I wanted to mention one thing for, any young ladies that are listening, or, any ladies that are listening, that just find a mentor, find that mentor, because that's what happened with me. I was lucky to find some amazing mentors. But what I would like to mentor others as I get 10 years out. I could see that, although I'm not a veteran, where I come in, I see myself at the intersection of that transition for them and being able to talk about with them how to get into entrepreneurship. And I'm a connector. These guys will they know I'm always connecting people. So that's where I can serve. And again, my tagline is the few who serve the many. Free enterprise warriors. We are, my mentor was a free enterprise freak, understanding that, small business, Main Street business is the backbone of our economy. So everything that I do, and warriors is not to be warlike, but to be guardians. So I feel like I am going forward as a guardian of free enterprise and my connections, that I can work with veterans, and then with people. I connected with Tina, I connect with Kelly. We work together, the three of us, and we actually, we all have different strengths that we bring to this, to this collaborations. That, and I just look for opportunities, and I think that I'm just excited. I'm so excited about tomorrow. I don't even worry about 10 years. I know that's going to just take care of itself.
Well said indeed, young lady. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's hear from Tina K. Tina, 10 years from now, where do you see yourself and the business?
Yes. Oh, wow. 10 years from now, I have to say, I agree with Tina. I focus on one day at a time. I do. But my vision, if I really had to see, is for me, it's speaking. I'd love to speak globally. I'd like to speak domestically, of course. And I really would love to be another Tony Robbins, where I have stages, and speaking to thousands of people, empowering women to really find their passions, really connecting to their passions, and to really dream. And just, that's what I would love to do. If I could speak around the world and get paid well, I'm good. But having good health, having a community, having a mentor, you can't do it alone. You need people. The community is so important. And, Tina, Kelly, all of us, without a community, you just can't do it. We need that network. So that's where I see myself. I see myself going to other places and sharing my message, and possibly writing more books.
Excellent. Nothing wrong with that at all, ladies.
No.
Jump on to question number 2. Creating inclusive environments. The question is this: how can organizations foster an environment where women feel empowered to lead and to succeed? Let's put that now to Tina C. Tina C, how say you, young lady?
So, having been in a corporate environment and having been now in an organization that I run, and also part of Free Enterprise Warriors, you have to lead by example. So you have to get some, you know what, let's go back one step. You have to have a culture of inclusion. So sometimes it's very difficult because companies may just have a culture that's not. So you're going to probably have to start at the top. You have to start with the leaders. They have to understand that it's important. They have to understand that it's 50% of their workforce, is women most of the time, sometimes more. But more importantly, it has to come from the top, and it's a cultural thing. So now they got to look at it. They have to maybe bring people like Tina Kadish in to talk to them and understand what's the importance. And it's not lip service. It's an actual culture. And they espouse that culture, and they let everybody know about it. And they let the women know that work with, in their company or anybody coming in, this is how you're going to be treated. This is how we will expect nothing less. And I think that's the whole thing. It has to come from the culture, has to change. It's not a Band-Aid. And I think that's where people don't, some companies don't realize. They want to bring someone in, have them talk for a couple of days, and they go out, they go back to business as usual. It's got to change. Then I think once you do that, you're going to have people rise to the top that follow that culture. That's what I've found in my organization, Master Networks. It doesn't matter men or women, as if you're of the culture, everybody rises together. So it doesn't exclude the gentleman, because we don't want that. What we want to make sure everybody's empowered. And so that's really what I find is bring people in, also start bringing people in of that culture that you want. That also helps. So I'm a big culture person, if you haven't noticed.
Okay, well said indeed. Okay, let's put that same question to Tina Kadish. Okay, and the question is, how can organizations foster environments where women feel empowered to lead and to succeed?
Yeah, I have to say, I've always, coming from the corporate world myself, what I would see is it begins at the top, begins with you. And it is a culture. It is culture. So leading by example. And as a leader, it's about influencing your company. It's influencing your team. But coming from integrity, I believe in integrity. And if we all have that integrity, that leadership, true leadership, not just lip service, it's walk the talk. Okay, and really taking action and having that integrity. And I want the inclusion, men and women. It doesn't matter, who you are, based on your skills, based on who you are. Your character is so important. And that's how I believe including. And open communication, I think, is very important in a company to have, because how can you boost morale, keep that morale going if you can't communicate it, if you can't go to someone who's a leader and talk to them and get, ideas out on the table and be able to communicate it won't work. So those are my thoughts.
Being a female, have you ever experienced any type of resentment by men?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
The way you said that. Oh.
I'm sorry. It is so true, because when women speak up, okay, they view them as, I'm going to say the word trouble, okay, that they're not a team player. But if a man speaks up, it's viewed differently, okay? So I think that needs to change in companies. I think that women need to be viewed differently. They need to be sitting at the CEO tables, in the boardrooms, and really have an influence in the company. I know there's some places that do, but I think we need a lot of work to get women more at a higher level, in the corporate level. Okay. This is why I love entrepreneurship.
Let me put that same question to Tina C. Tina, so have you ever had difficulties with men seeing that you're in a leadership position?
Yes, I think you feel sometimes that you're not heard. That's really big. You can stand and you can give a presentation and you believe in it, and then they don't do anything with it. It's kind of like you did all this work and they're just, and then they'll give the project to somebody else. So it's one of those things. It's just luckily and unluckily. I mean, listen, I'm 62 years old, so yes, I have had different through companies, and basically when I was able to get into entrepreneurship is when my voice came out. And that shouldn't be, but it's just what it was. I think things are changing. I hope things are changing. I haven't been in the corporate world in so long now. I've had my own company for 24 years, so I'm reveling in the way that things are. But I can't really say, can't speak to companies. But as far as resentment and that, it's so unfortunate. Like I never courted that. I never wanted that. I like to work and collaborate, but sometimes you just can't. And I would just honestly, sometimes I had to leave because it was not going to work. And that's why I think, again, getting into my own business felt, I can make my own decisions.
Okay, makes sense indeed. Yes, it does. Okay, well, let's get away right now from the Tinas and let's go over to Kelly. Kelly, same question. How can organizations foster environments where women feel empowered to lead and to succeed?
Well, I mean, everything that Tina said, right, is amazing. And I think even on a small level, I know some of the bigger companies, something as basic as having childcare in there, something where the women don't feel like they have to choose and they, can excel without it being a detriment that they're a mom, right? That's one thing that you hear in the workplace a lot, that the dad is okay, he becomes a new dad and he's just, but when the mom has to sacrifice or anything for the kids, then, oh, well, she can't do both. So something as little as that. And, my philosophy has always been work hard, play hard. And Tina, I love about culture, but I think culture starts with, the education, right? Right now we're in Ramadan. Some people are, celebrating Ramadan. Well, I think companies need to, somebody should be there educating, talking about it. They should have events, monthly events, make something fun, make it social. I think the best companies, and even the company that I am where we're independent, but we still get together for family things. When you can learn somebody beyond seeing them at work, and you see them maybe with their families, and that can foster culture, right? And I just think that and Tina K, you said about communication, that's the big thing. And as you were saying, from the top, that top leadership has to say, I be willing, right? Be willing to take that first step and say, hey, let's learn about each other. I mean, I know sometimes when I walk into a meeting and everybody's just assuming they know each other. There's not even introductions. There's not even a little bit of what's your background? Where do you come from? Hey, are you married? Do you have children? Things as simple as that. Like, I'm thinking about it, right? I'm hosting a big event tomorrow, and it's larger than it has been in the past. And it kind of drives me crazy when the attendees in the room don't have a chance to even just raise their hand and say a little bit about themselves, that 30-second commercial. Well, I think companies don't do that. Everybody just, we kind of, oh, we're starting the meeting, but who's in the room? Really, who's in the room? So some of those basic things of just, again, learning about each other, having fun, right? Because when you add the fun into the culture, and letting other people lead that, maybe it's a family thing this time, but hey, what do you enjoy? What is your culture? Where are you from? What did you do? the potlucks and things like that, where somebody's bringing something and they're just learning about each other. I think that women feel inclusive on that because I'm not the cook in the family, right? My boyfriend is, but when we can bring out our own, our own passions and skills beyond the business world, I think we start to really build that culture that you were talking about, Tina.
Okay, thank you very much, Kelly. Thank you much indeed. Let me just put a question to you, Kelly. In leadership, do you think that men view women in leadership as they view their own counterpart, men?
No, right? I mean, it's a learning. It's learning. As when you said, the last question that you had to the Tinas, I could only reflect back to, and remember, guys, I was in my 20s, but here at my first base, right, that this was a new mission. It was a combat mission, and women were just allowed to get our wings and to fly on that. And I'll never forget one of the gentlemen saying, "Oh, when I found out women were going to fly with us, I was going to give up my wings." And again, having the confidence and the courage. And I remember I turned around to him, and whether this was good or not from my rest of my tour there, but I said, "Well, maybe if you guys were doing it right, they wouldn't have needed us." And I remember walking away going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I just said that." But it's kind of pushing a little bit. I always like to use the word nudge, right? But it's hard for them if we don't stand up for ourselves. It's hard for them to stand up for us, because and one thing that I love these days, and I heard this and I absolutely love it, collaboration is the new currency, right? Not competition, but collaboration. And I think we need to go in there as women in that mindset, not assuming it's going to be confrontational, but saying, hey, because if we assume confrontation, what we focus on happens, right? And so we don't want to direct it that way. So if we can go in with, hey, they might not feel this way, but let's collaborate. I'm going to give my opinion anyway. I love, Tina K, you said too, coming up with solutions, not delving down into the problem or the challenge, as we like to say, but coming in solution driven. Hey, Bishop, they will have no choice but to listen to us and collaborate with us, because we're going to just be such a ray of light and such a solution that they're going to just, we're going to nudge them over the cliff.
Well, listen, I am listening to you, Kelly, and to you, Tina C, and to you, Tina K, and I love what I am hearing. And I believe that the best is yet to come for you, ladies. And I myself will definitely applaud you. And a few years from now, listen, I mean, you may be even on television and so forth, but I see great things for all of you, honestly, and I'm saying that from the depth of my heart. Okay, question 3, and wow, time is really going. Keys to success and advice for aspiring leaders. The question is this: what advice would you give to women aspiring to leadership roles, and what guiding principles have shaped your journey? Let me put that first of all to Tina K. How say you, woman of God? How say you?
Wow. Okay. So for me, for success as a leader, again, it begins with your influence, how you communicate. It's your having integrity and being transparent and authenticity. I'm a firm believer in being authentic, and that's a principle. So I want to be able to communicate authentically and who I am, and coming from an empathetic position. It's really caring for the other person, being that relatability, that you're able to connect with them, listen, and really understand where they're coming from, I think is what leaders need more of. It's that understanding the other person and connect with them, being a good listener, and being there for that person, what they're going through. And yeah, Those are, for me, some principles to success that are so important, that I believe are the keys.
The question once again is, what advice would you give to women aspiring to leadership roles, and what guiding principles have shaped your journey? Let me put that question now to Kelly. How say you?
So similar to a lot of things we've been talking about, right? Going back to my first comment, to any woman out there, I'd say, work on yourself. Don't just expect it. Don't just say, oh, I'm coming in looking this way, being this way. Really know your stuff. Be willing to work on yourself and read the leadership books. There are some amazing leadership principles out there. And I'm an avid reader, listening to like podcasts like this, right? Just always wanting to learn and not feel like you've ever arrived. We've never arrived, right? It's a journey. And so keep working on yourself. And oh my gosh, Tina K, when you talked about so much, it is, when you can align your true passion with what you're doing in the world, because we're all here, right? With our own unique gifts. And so when you can align that passion and it doesn't feel like work, it doesn't feel as much effort. And so just really, dig deep, find your passions. And if I had to say the principles that helped shape me was, again, just never giving up, never having excuses. I looked in the mirror. I would look in the mirror and I'd say, oh, wow, business is down. I'm not going to blame it on this, that. I go, you know what? My calls have been down. My networking, like what Tina C does, I always say you're one networking event away from having a dozen people to call and follow up with and to grow your business. So take responsibility. That's one of the, so you just, and it's empowering. It actually is, even though it's kind of tough and you're like, it's all about me, but it's also empowering because you didn't give up the power to someone else. So just as I maybe wasn't doing certain things, guess what? In the next minute, the next day, I can start doing those things again. And all of a sudden things would grow. So I would say guiding principle, being consistent, work on yourself, work on your business every day, even when you're not feeling like it. I always say in my business, maybe you're not feeling up to making that phone call, your energy's down. That doesn't mean you can't send an email. And if even you feel like your energy's bad for an email, then, find some training to do, listen to something, always work on yourself and your business every day. Be consistent because it's worth it. The payoff is worth it because then the freedom comes, right? The freedom comes.
Yes, your question, Kelly. Are there any such thing as negative advice? Has a person ever come over to give you some negative advice, something that will cause you to fail?
Yes, and the biggest challenge is we have those, as Tina K, you talked about dreams, right? We have dream stealers, and they don't always plan to be dream stealers, but maybe it's their own because as we elevate the people around us, we might have to leave some of them behind, even if they're family members, because they mean well, but they can be dream stealers, and they're telling us things. They might say that it didn't work or this doesn't work, but maybe it didn't work for them, the certain circumstances. So I think that we can still be courteous, right? And generous and say, thank you for that, but I'm going to move in this direction. I think the clearer that our goals and visions are, our dreams, it's harder for that negative to set in, but it happens. It happens. And sometimes the toughest thing is it's some of our closest friends and family members. They mean well. But one thing that I learned is, and I think this last Sunday, at my spiritual center, they talked about it. The passion, the mission, the gift was put in my heart. It wasn't put in everybody's heart, right? And so we can understand that they're coming from a good place, but we see it differently. We see our path differently. Nobody has really walked in our shoes or can really be in our heart and see what's driving us. So accept it with gratitude, but then just know I heard someone say this before. If you accept somebody's advice, you're accepting their lifestyle. Make sure that you're cautious of who you're taking advice of, right?
And that's so important, yes, because there are certain things that grow in Florida and they don't grow in New York City. Now, that's something else. We can go into that another time. Okay, let me put the same question now to Tina Campbell. What advice would you give to women aspiring to leadership roles, and what guiding principles have shaped your journey?
When it's many of what Kelly and Tina were saying, but I thought of something differently because when I was given the role of running an organization, actually I started from scratch and then grew it to, we have over 500 people in the tri-state area right now. And so what I knew my weakness was, believe it or not, public speaking. And that is the same for many people. So I worked on that. I went to Toastmasters, which is a speaking club, so that I could learn to, and I think many, people don't realize that communication and public speaking is something that can take them to the next level. It's learning to communicate. So I would say that's number one. I would absolutely work on that. Even if you think you're the best, go work on it. And then, in different, because they give you in Toastmasters, they give you different instances when you're going to, whether you're going to do something in front of a group, something just, asking questions such as an interview. It's really one of those things where if you get comfortable with public speaking, I think that's going, and I certainly, two daughters that I really pushed into that a little bit. I said, learn to do that. And it really has helped them. Other than that, I mean, as far as what guiding principles, I was told by my co-founder of Free Enterprise Warriors 13 years ago, he said, let fear be your compass. Go towards that you fear, and it will open doors.
Mm.
And so, I think about that now, and sometimes I'm not talking about fear of getting hurt, more fear of feeling stupid, feeling like you're not worthy, whatever that is. Now, when I see something and someone says, can you do this? Can you speak at this? Can you, whatever that I'm kind of fearful of, I just say yes. I say yes, and then I figure it out. So, one of the things, it's open doors because I don't let the fear stifle what my possibility or my opportunity is. And I've really lived by that. And it's been one of those things. But what made me laugh is what Tina and Kelly said about your family sometimes are your worst critic, but they don't do it out of, that they don't care for you. They do it out of love because they're afraid for you. They're fearful of, are you going to get hurt? Are you going to get trampled on? Whatever. And you know what's amazing? They're doing it themselves. So sometimes you have to actually get out from underneath the people that love you the most and say, and pick your path. And so it's just a really interesting thing. I think many of us have been down that same road. But if I want to say to young people, just if you have an idea, sometimes you have to work at a different job, and then at night or weekends, you have to give up time to work on the next thing that your passion is. And do that if you have to for a little while until it becomes something that you can make money from. So those are my thoughts.
Okay. Well, certainly we've heard a lot and we have said a lot. Now, let me say this, that we only have approximately 3 minutes left. I'm sure that we have some ladies that's on tonight and they, like you, would like to step out. Okay, in a nutshell. Okay, Kelly, Tina C, and Tina K, what would you say to such a person? They want to step out. Kelly, what would you say to them?
Nike had it right. Just do it. Just do it. Because the promised land's on the other side, right? And like you said, Tina, it's worth going through the fear. So just do it. Make that your motto.
Okay, thank you much. Okay, Tina Campbell, what would you say to someone who wants to step out like you?
My mantra for this year is let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, and and as they say, fall forward. keep going. If you're falling, fall forward, learn from your mistakes, keep going. And I'm telling you, you're going to reap the rewards.
Beautiful. On your mark, get set, go. Okay, let's hear from Tina Adish. What would you say to?
It's move, take action in spite of the fear, and just keep going, because it just keep going in spite of the fear, and never quit, because quitters never win.
Sounds good. Okay, well, listen, we want to thank the Lord for
Thank you.
Kelly that came on tonight, for Tina Campbell, and for Tina Adish. Okay, thank you very, very much for coming on the Bishop's Corner. We have 1 minute left, and I just want to pass things over to Dr. Philip Reed, who is the visionary for the Bishop's Corner. Phil, it's in your hands.
Thank you.